Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Talking Cubs. I'm your host Ryan Davis, and I'm flying solo tonight. I don't have a co-host with me. I didn't bother to get Evan because he's probably pretty busy. Sean, I guess, is busy with Game of Thrones. That's something I'm not into. If you're looking for the one nerdy thing that I do not take part in, it's Game of Thrones. But I'm also not the jerk who goes on Twitter dunking on everyone saying, well, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but it's cool if you do, but I don't. So I thought I'd take a little bit of time to record a video to talk about how the Cubs have been playing lately. I know that you're probably wondering why we haven't had any videos lately. Well, it's been a mixture of things. Sometimes Sean and I just can't work out our schedule now that I'm working a full-time job, and he's very busy with his job and several other things he's doing. The baseball season just kind of keeps us busy, and it's just been hard for us to match up. I've also been very sick a couple times, which has really backed me up on a lot of the things that I do outside of my regular job and this. So thanks for sticking with us. Try and bear with us. We're doing the best we can to get more content out for you guys. We were supposed to record together tonight, but that just didn't work out. So I thought I'd just do a short video here to talk about how the Cubs have been playing lately. It's been a lot better since probably the last time we recorded. The Cubs, they get a well-earned day off today on Monday. They're going to travel to Seattle for a 2-game series. They're 14-12. That's a big improvement over the 1-6 start. They're only 2.5 games out of first place behind the St. Louis Cardinals, and after all that panic, they're actually a half game ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers in the standings. So 13-6 over their last 19. Over their last 6 series, they've won 5 of them and split a 2-game set with the Angels after the third game was snowed out. So it's been really good, and a lot of that has been starting pitching. Over the last 2 weeks, which spans 11 games for the Cubs, the team has a collective 2.57 ERA in 98 innings with 36 walks and 109 strikeouts. Yu Darvish has been pitching better, but it's not quite there yet. I'll post it in the description. I have a story that out in Forbes today. Brendan Miller of Cubs Insider actually helped me a little bit. Put together 2 pitch plots or pitch strike probability plots for Yu Darvish 2017 versus 2019. Kind of shows the difference in the pitch framing. But the year before he joined the Cubs versus the first 6 games of this year. That's pretty interesting stuff. I kind of broke down some of what Yu Darvish has done so far this year and why he may be turning the corner. So I'll have the link down below. You can go check that out if you're interested. That's something I wrote for Forbes and should be up today. So, but in general, it's been a little bit better. It's incrementally better after the first couple innings against the Arizona Diamondbacks. His last time out, he was a lot better the last 4 innings. Overall, 6 innings of 1-run ball. He threw 110 pitches, which I think was huge. I know Evan wrote at Cubs Insider about how Madden finally kind of let him off the leash a little bit, let him kind of push a little further, and he was really good, especially even in that last inning. I think he gave up a solo home run. That's fine. Darvish he's going to have to get that little bit of leash to be able to prove to you that he can do this and maybe even prove it to himself that he can go out there and get those outs and pitch beyond the 5th inning, which is something he's very rarely done in his short Cubs career. So good for Darvish that he's been on. John Lester came off the DL recently. He pitched fairly well in his 5 innings in return. I think he gave up 1 run. I'm not sure. I don't think it was earned even. I think it was because of a Javier Baez error. So John Lester's been really good. Cole Hamels has been great. Darvish is getting better. Kyle Hendricks, it's just been another thing I wrote for Forbes. Kyle Hendricks, velocity's down a little bit. He's struggling to command that 2-seamer. I have a theory that it could be related to the juiced ball and how slick the outside of the ball is to the feel, how he's not able to manipulate it like he'd like to. I think there was a quote from Noah Syndergaard talking about the difference in the feel of the ball, and he kind of related it to what a dog looks like when it's trying to pick up an ice cube off the floor. And that's kind of a ridiculous comparison, but I think that's fairly interesting. That the one pitcher would actually say that's how the ball feels to him is like a dog trying to pick up an ice cube. That tells you how slick the outside of that baseball might be right now, and it's why there's less friction on the ball when it's flying out of the ballpark at an unprecedented rate, which is what it's been doing early in the baseball season. And then a guy like Hendricks, who relies on that feel with his fingers to be able to manipulate the baseball to move the way he wants it to. He said several times early this year that he's just not getting the movement on his fastball early on in the game, and he's starting to go away from it. He kind of relies more on his changeup, which he's had better luck with locating early in the year. So I'm I'm promising myself that I won't worry about Kyle Hendricks at least until midseason, because he's the guy that you trust. You know that he has some issue every year and he figures it out. So you're not really worried about him. And then you've got Jose Quintana. He's been so good for the Cubs basically the whole year, minus that one start in Milwaukee where he gave up 8 earned runs. He's throwing that changeup more frequently. He's been really good. He's been so far this season the Jose Quintana the Cubs thought they were getting for Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease back in 2017. The guy we've seen somewhat infrequently since they acquired him. He's been that more frequently this season, and that's been really exciting, seeing him have that third pitch outside of the fastball and the curveball to be able to throw and keep batters off balance a little bit. He did give up 2 home runs against the Diamondbacks on Sunday night. That blew a 3-0 lead and forced the Cubs into extra innings. They went 15 innings. I don't have any video from that game, but I do have a fun video of my reaction to watching the late innings of that Cubs game. But they did win on Sunday night, which is the most important thing. They get the day off on Monday. They're going to Seattle. They're going to play 2 games up there. Then they get another day off. Then they return home to take on the St. Louis Cardinals, who are 17-10. They're in first place ahead of the Cubs by 2.5 games. So I think a lot of people, myself included, expected the Cardinals to be pretty good this year and expected them to pretty much be the Cubs' main competition in the division. They're going really well, despite the fact that their big strength, I think a lot of people thought, their starting rotation has really underperformed. And they've got some great performances from a few guys out of the bullpen. Jordan Hicks obviously throws 103, 104 miles an hour. You've got John Gant and John Brebbia, guys whom most people maybe haven't even really heard of around baseball. Really unsung guys. They've been absolutely phenomenal in the bullpen. So they've been riding a higher scoring offense and some strong bullpen performances outside of their rotation, which has been, kind of bad overall. So if the Cardinals rotation does come around, that's going to be a scary team. You wouldn't want to fall much further behind than 2.5 games. So I think it's really important for the Cubs to continue this stretch of playing well, even if you split in Seattle. You're at home against the Cardinals, your main rival. Taking 2 out of 3 is pretty important in that series to kind of keep this flow going. So interested to see how this next week is going to play out. I'm glad the Cubs have a day off today, because if they didn't, they'd probably be shuffling a bunch of pitchers up and down from Iowa after that 15-inning game. But as it stands, they get a day off, then 2 games in Seattle, then another day off. So that's really fortunate the way it's lining up for the Cubs heading into that 3-game series against the Cardinals. So thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys sticking with us, even though we've been kind of missing in action. Another big thing that's been happening for me lately, if you're into this kind of thing, Avengers Endgame, go see that. I'm not going to give you a review. I know that Evan did a review on his video blog that he's doing, which is really cool. I suggest watching that. That's been really entertaining stuff. So if you're interested, go check out Evan's review, which is on the Cubs Insider YouTube channel as well. Outside of that, if you want my thoughts, I might write something up on it eventually. If you are interested in my review, go down to the comments below. I might do a video, a standalone outside of Talking Cubs. So let me know what you think of the solo show. I know it's a bit different outside the format. I'm not used to sitting in front of a camera and staring at it and talking to it by myself for a while. So that's been a little bit different. But let us know again how you're liking the show. Any suggestions you guys have for how we can make the content a little bit better. And again, hopefully Sean and I can match up our our times, and we can be able to actually sit down and have a coherent discussion back and forth for a show, and maybe even guests as we move further down the line. I know the show that I did with Evan was really well received, so maybe we can have him back. Other people, if you have suggestions for guests, go down in the comments, send those suggestions along as well. Thanks, guys. We will talk to you again soon.